Hmm. How to begin? Check. So, with Morgellons, one of the things that I noticed talking a long time ago when it was first building, and maybe not even when it's first building, but when it was first, when I was debilitated to where I had to deal with it, I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? There's some, clearly there's a lot of issues all of a sudden. Suddenly I have every disorder and disease known to the human race, and they just cycle through, week by week, day by day, hour by hour. But the common factor symptom was this hard to breathe some, which I, attribute to Kimberly, and T-rails, that is, and like a well, there's strands growing laterally around the body, around arms, around my neck, around my torso, all over, right? But the supernatural type of strangeness with it, where it's like no apparent causal connecting factor, but something changes. You can sense it, like like hairs on the back of your neck stand up, like they say, ghosts in the room or something. So palpable things, even like that. One of the chief ones for me was be like static, and it would happen, as the jetliner is approaching or as the plane is approaching, over and over and over and over, which got me to wondering, why are there so many airplanes flying so low over neighborhoods all day and night, at least at that time. It seems to be toned down some lately, the amount of the small planes, but I mean, it varies from week to week, month to month, as well as the Kimberleys and then the excessive amount of passenger flights, right? But anyway, I'm digressing there. As those things would approach, I get this static feeling, like if you reached in the dryer and you pulled out clothes and they were sticking to you. My ears would start to ring, and at that time, that meant my lymph veins would start to swell up, my wrists would start throbbing at 120 beats a minute, and then they was throbbing like from here to here, and all of my forearms were kind of swollen and purpley orange colored, and you would think I had like, high blood pressure or something, because it looks like all my veins all of a sudden just start bulging out, and I get lightheaded and get brain fog and ringing in my ears, and then an airplane flies over. Okay, 1,000 times in a row, you start to think, there may be a connection between these things. I'm not sure, but, it seems like, 1,000 times in a row, 2,000 times in a row, 5,000 times in a row, and then you're like, why did 5,000 airplanes fly over my house this month? That's very weird. Right? Those type of things. Static is like static. And static electricity is affected by fire, flame. So like biofield cleansing, or I guess it's tuning if you're using like tuning forks or something, but and then there's light therapies as well for your body, your biofield. I'm pretty sure that it's been established that skin cells have photoreceptors, sensors in them that detect light. Obviously, they detect heat, so infrared light, most likely. I would have to postulate, and just clicked in my INTP type brain, that Kimberly T. Rails probably blocks infrared spectrum light, or probably ultraviolet. Anyway, those things are necessary for you to be healthy, because you need to have the sun shine on you and give you these frequencies of light so that you don't get ill and develop all kinds of disorders that they put you on medications for, which eventually destroy all of your internal organs and you fall over dead. Or something like that. That's the plan for everybody, don't you know? In a world where the powers that be have no problem flying tanker jet after tanker jet of jet planes with tanks, spraying known, tested, proven neurotoxic elements on you and your whole family and your whole city and your whole state and your whole country all day, every day that the weather permits them to. And then announcing that the same powers that be announce that, you know, oh, people are destroying the environment with the things that they're doing. Well, yeah, they are. If there's people flying those planes, then people are destroying the environment. The question then becomes like, who's calling the shots? Who's giving the orders to do these things? And why is it that the people are so complacent that they will just bend over for anything that happens? Anything. Oh, we got to do it because it was in a movie, you know. Was that predictive programming works? They show enough movies of the government task force coming in and taking over everything in a martial law type of end of the world scenario. And so when the government comes marching in at whatever in a future date with the troops for the martial law shit, for the Walmart shit, everybody just, oh yes, we'll do what you say. Let's line up for your FEMA camp, kids. Come on. Let's go get our injections. Oh, give me 2. Right? Yeah, because there haven't been, you know, stories of evil powers that be that wanted to inject everybody in the world with some type of something to control them. That's been like stories forever. That was what the pharmakias wanted to do in ancient Greece. The evil ones, the ones that were practicing black magic. They were wanting to create things that will control everybody and bend them all to their will. And now they've established that, apparently. You know, pharmacia. Go down to the pharmacy and pick up your pharmakias. Kia. That's what they say in Taekwondo when they put their force. They're like, kill. Something like that. I saw it in Taekwondo class. I took the kids to once. I digress. Static. It's like a static cling. And I know that electrical fields, static, can be, you know, dissipated with fire. And I don't know. I'm not gonna try and like support too much evidence to say what my connections are on right now. I mean, I've tried to do that before, and to some degree I was successful, and to a great degree I was not. But because it's really hard to describe things that you sense more than you have quantitative data to put forth and say, here, look at this. This is what I found, right? I mean, I've done that, and I show the results of what I do, and that I don't just, you know, make this shit up, and, you know, because I'm, you know, wacko. Hey, what else can I think of that sounds crazy? Because it's not really crazy. It actually makes sense when I can take it out of the context of how I think, you know, this type of information and subject is viewed by society, and I can look at it like I'm a scientist, and like, okay, you know, despite the fact that I'm the one being, you know, slowly tortured by the system that's in place right now, step back out of the torture for a moment. Just assume that I'm not completely insane, that my senses work, and that they're giving me semi-factual information, but the information's very strange and doesn't fit with common beliefs. Doesn't matter. INTPs can step right out of that and be like, who gives a crap? I'm paying attention to what's actually happening and what the data is that's coming in. You know, so when I feel like I'm having trouble breathing, as if some unseen something is muffling over my face and making it hard to breathe the breath in, and then somehow I discover that with fire it will just mysteriously dissipate that sensation, and I can breathe easier. It's a lot of times when this will happen, especially like around my chest. It's one of the first places I noticed it. I would, like, my chin, my nose, and this area, because it was, having my eyebrows bleed out just spontaneously, and my earlobes bleed out, and this continuous, pain up my jawline where all the hairs would turn white and then stop growing there. It would grow, coarse hairs at weird angles if they grew. Completely not. That all went from normal beard to burning, on fire, painful, striped white beard in the course of about 8 months. Just all of a sudden, ba-bam! And along with continuous migraine headache, 3 tones warbling in my ears constantly, bleeding, just, this infected plasma looking shit, which wasn't blood. You could tell immediately. It was translucent and orange tinted. But anyway, what would be bringing that infection on? And I'm not in denial of the fact that we're being sprayed with aluminum, barium. Barium's what goes on credit cards. On that brown metal they put into the stripy part where it reads your information when you swipe your credit card. That's barium. So barium has magnetic properties that allow it to encode information. So is that why we're being sprayed with barium? Because it can record and store information? Does the combination of the three make the elements that nanobots need to build structures inside of people? I mean, anything's possible. How there's when they make computer chips out of the silicon, they use and I don't know it intimately, but the basics of the process is it's layered like a high-rise building, you would say, and there's stack upon stack upon stack, and they can differentiate between that and form the components of the electrical circuit inside the silicone using magnetic resonance. So they have high-powered electromagnets and machinery that focuses their point anywhere down to, a micron or whatever, super small scale. And it can assemble things inside of silicon. So if you put all the right building blocks of a nanobot or something wanted to build in a person by having them inhale them all day long for 20 fucking years straight, and then you put in place all of these resonance points that could direct and flow electromagnetic energy, like say a cell grid might appear to be, like you need your different axes in order to pinpoint that spot. Doesn't it seem entirely possible that nanobots could assemble things inside of humans, inside of their bodies, by a program? Doesn't have to be a person in there with a little joystick going, okay, and then we take this over here, they got a little screen, they're looking inside your heart while they're blocking off your arteries or something. The disease machine, these things can be made to resonate too. A metal particle is an antenna. And the secret of the Kimberly T. Rails was when they discovered how to make these oxide particles of the same size. See, it's easy to make aluminum oxide. You can just burn aluminum and you get aluminum oxide, lots of it. But it's random aluminum oxide of all these different sizes. Now, if you wanted to make, let's say, 5,000 tanker loads of it, and you wanted every particle to be the same size, that would be quite a task. Because you burn aluminum. How do you burn aluminum and then on that small of a scale ensure that the pieces come off at the same size? I don't know how they do it. But that was the big secret of when it went from a toxic poison to being a mind control device, a resonance device, a frequency that, Well, what do you think happens when you breathe aluminum, barium, and strontium nanoparticles into your body? Like, it don't mean a thing. I see people that are jogging too. It just sprayed out. There's 14 jets in the sky hosing it down. And you see these fucking dipshit out there fucking, I'm getting healthy out here. Jogging down the street, right? What a fucking moron. And then, there's the smart joggers that don't think I'm picking on joggers. I see a lot of joggers, actually a greater number, that only jog when it's raining. And I'm like, that's a smart jogger. I only see those guys out when it's raining, when the air is clean enough to breathe and get your heart rate up. Which is really kind of bums me out when I go by the baseball fields, because they always have a big baseball thing for the kids, on the most sprayed down days of the year. So, little juniors out there running the bases, getting his heart rate all up, breathing up all them extra, barium, aluminum, and strontium particles that are just wafting in over the what do they call that? Not translucent, but fluorescent, like the fluorescent orange-pink sunsets or something, just glowing like radiation. Oh, the sunset's so pretty, I'm going to put it on Facebook. Yes, being sprayed with poison is so pretty, isn't it? Oh, you jazz, And your kid's getting lots of exercise out there, running around those bases, getting his heart rate up and his breathing up, and get lots and lots of that fresh aluminum oxide. Just breathe right in. It's good for it's good for your cells, you see. That's just stupid. Who the fuck is that? This country is that stupid. I see it. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy fact. Shit. Anyway. Static. It's like static. It descends onto you. Now, if those particles are like antennas, they can be made to resonate at a certain frequency. An electrical signal, say, of the, millimeter wavelength. I wonder if they have nanometer waves yet. I mean, that would be a frequency ridiculously high. Ludicrous frequency. But, something so that at the speed of light, the distance that it would travel for one wavelength would be measured in nanometers, which is the size that the Kimberleys and her T-rails are, metal oxide particles. That's what they're measured in. I heard like 6 or 10, 6 to 10, that range, nanometers length for Kimberly T-rail particle. I can't confirm or deny that, but I'm not trying to. But that's really small. It's small enough that it can stick in a cell, like in the smallest cells of our body are big. They're bigger than that. Your zeta potential in your cell is the measure of its magnetic field strength. And the magnetic field of each cell of our body is what gives it its shape. It defines what kind of cell it is, most likely. It gives it its structure and shape. And if it's healthy, that's a strong magnetic field. The cell has the proper shape and everything functions correctly in it, and it sticks to the cell next to it like it's supposed to. I mean, that seems pretty obvious. It seems kind of like logic there. But I'm just stating that, as a basis here. Because I've seen magnetic resonance imaging videos where introduction of aluminum changes the magnetic field. The magnetic field does not flow harmoniously through the aluminum. Aluminum's not magnetic. That doesn't mean that there's no interaction with the field. On the contrary, the aluminum just ruins the field, really. Each little piece of aluminum, so particles, a whole bunch of separate pieces of aluminum, distorts it. That's the word I'm looking for. It distorts the magnetic field, like, massively. The magnetic field that was like, nice and even, goes like, it's like, that's like all fucked up, really. So, if you have a cell with a zeta potential, its magnetic field, and it's healthy, and then you, no, yum, nice particles, and you douse it with particles like your pepper in your steak, and the magnetic field goes from harmonious to do you think that would be good or bad overall in the long run for a living creature's health? Right? I'm just being a smart ass for no reason, but I mean, it's that simple of a question. I don't see how it evades everybody's attention. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people. How they just, oh, that don't matter. Come on, kid, you get ready for school and get good grades. We're going to go get some vaccinations afterwards. Yay! Did you know you can get 25% off your grocery bill if you get some vaccinations while you're at the grocery store? I bet you could do that every week. I bet there's people that do that every week. They're like, oh, vaccinations are good and safe, so I'm going to get 25% off my grocery bill each time I go to town. And go get their flu shot. Apparently, you don't need a medical, too much of a medical scrutiny to get set up for that. Anybody can inject you with some flu shots. Now, other things, no, you got to go to the doctor. You want an EpiPen for your, breathing problems? You got to go pay hundreds of dollars at the doctor. Although I did hear that Primatene Mist was being sold again, so I guess that's good. It's probably not the same thing as it used to be. But I don't know. I'm starting to get a headache again. It's been coming and going all day since I got a kind of. I think they've got the. I personally believe that the extra amount of airplanes I was talking about when I first started rambling here, the unusually high number, even if they're not leaving any sort of a trail, but I would still have an interaction with them. I'd still get my ears ringing and headaches and joint aches and prickling sensations on my skin. Sometimes I feel like I had a thorn in my foot all of a sudden, or I take my shoe off and there's nothing there, but I can't step down because it feels like it's poking me. Or the phantom touch creeping, crawling up over my skin. So that's half of the reason that the fire works. I get that sensation, and I can ignore it. I got used to it enough to ignore it, but it becomes like I swear to God, it's like an electrical slithering or some sort of like static electric just smothers you over an area. Like it'd be on my head a lot, the back of my head, and that's why I'm always saying the medulla oblongata is where your nervous system comes together. This is, to me, I'm going to try and tie this all together right now because it would be difficult. I don't know, and it would probably make no sense, but to a listener. But it's as if the mechanism being used by the evil powers of the world, whoever they are, they exist. They're physical and mental and spiritual in nature, and what they've found a way to, I think the particles seed the body. They fill you with antennas. These antennas can be made to vibrate at electrical resonance. There's multiple different metals too, so there can be multiple different frequencies that certain number of ones are the size to be tuned to. I can't, there's a lot of variations on how that could work with frequency manipulation and overtones and undertones and things like that could be done with multiple antennas vibrating at different resonances. But anyway, that is the mechanism. You seed the population. They have the antennas in place. You can't deny that they're there. If you've ever looked up at the sky and saw that it was striped out, and you live in a place that has that, you're filled with antennas. And those antennas alone represent toxic metals that will stick in your body and start to deteriorate your immune system and your motor skills, and everything's going to start to go downhill from there. Slowly at first. As they accumulate, it gets worse. So kids don't notice it so much because they're kids and they're young. So what it's going to look like, if you didn't know this was happening, it's going to look like people just get old and, die faster. And if nobody knows that that's not normal, the time frames we're talking about and the types of diseases and disorders that are going on, once that's been normalized to the population, you live to be 40 and you die of cancer. And that's how the world is, and that's the population. If you're cool with that, then hey, then don't do anything about it. Don't say anything about it. Just go along with the system and do whatever you're told, because, that's what the smart people are doing. So I'm digressing here. It kind of pisses me off when I have to, break it down like this. But the mechanisms in place. You seed the population with the antennas. You put your transmitter antennas. What are they? I got the phone right here. But anyway, phone. You put your transmitters all over the town. You get the people to, with their Wi-Fi's like I'm using right now, put it in their house. Did you know they can triangulate positions of people in houses by the strength of the Wi-Fi signals that are bouncing around inside off of multiple routers? So they can, anyway, digressing. You have the antennas, the transmitters in place. You can also have mobile transmitters, like say on an airplane, for directed energy weapons, or handheld ones. Say the police of the future ain't going to need bullets because you're filled with the receiving particles. You send the high enough strength beam at you, it's going to electrify you. That's the bottom line. It's high enough power, it'll light your ass on fire. That's the mechanism system that's been put in place. It can vibrate at ultra high frequencies, which will just affect your mind, or it can be done at different frequencies, which will affect your body physically, or it can be made to subliminally affect you very subtly. I mean, it's, if you really think about it, the possibilities are endless of the types of manipulation that could be employed upon a population who had breathed in a bunch of these antennas. Their bodies were filled with them, and you had the antenna structure in place that you could electrify and vibrate in resonance those particles on demand. And then you had a computer in place that could do that for you. That way you don't have to have people trying to do that. The computer automatically controls the population. The computer automatically affects people's feelings about things. It can make them excitable, or it can make them relaxed. I mean, all of this has been documented for decades. If you probably can, well, nobody's watched the video really, so I think I got like 9 views on my Michael Aquino Mind War, but it's in his paper. There's he cites research that was done on this type of mind control, ionization of the atmosphere, and electrical frequency states and stuff that occur naturally sometimes, but also can be made to happen. What do you think's being made to happen? It's just, watch that Michael Aquino Mind War. Yeah, the stuff's like a static. You turn on the frequency vibrates the resonance things. I get a sensation of static that's choking me, and strange structures seem to be, growing through my skin, which ain't cool. I'm not cool with that. It's not very cool. And, and then I'm non-functional. I have to close my successful small business that I'm running and become homeless, and then make videos like this, years later, because I'm still alive. A lot of the people who were dealing with Morgellons things, like to the degree that I was in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, there's, Michelle X, I don't know where she went. She seems to have disappeared. But there were a lot of other people talking about these types of things. Like, I remember one video of this guy, he was talking about the thump that would happen when he goes into a room, and he didn't know what the hell's going on with that. Like, and I noticed that too for a period of time. It would be like things would fall from above me too, like and fall near me. Like, I'm not like trees or anything, but I know it's hard to describe that. But anyway, I'd go into a room and like meet, at a store or someone else's house or whatever, and I'd close the door, come in, and there'd be like a thump somewhere, like in the ceiling usually. and they're like, you know, loud enough to hear. They just inexplicably. And after a while, I'm thinking, is it electrical? There's some sort of electrical thing going on. I mean, I don't know. He mentioned that though in a video, and it was like tripped me out. But a lot of people who have Morgellons issues to that degree, is like they're just not around. They're not making videos. Like, I'm guessing a lot of them aren't alive, because if it doesn't get better, it's intolerable, and they probably, you know. I mean, that's the option that good old Uncle Sam is giving everybody. It's like, here, we're gonna hose you down with this shit, and we're gonna electrify the air, and it's going to mess everybody up. And the younger you are, the less it'll be a problem. So don't worry, kids. You'll be in your 20s before you start to have real issues from it. And heck, by the time you're in your 30s, you're already so old you wish you were dead anyway. So no worries there. You know, 40 is the new 80. Hey, right on. Way to get up there in age, Grandpa. You're 40. Oh, you're ancient. Ancient. Oh, your life's over, man. You might as well just hang it up. Because it's perfectly normal. Everybody's born with cancer. Our smart doctors let us know that. And now we know, because it's a fact, that people are born with all the things that give them cancer. And it's just a crapshoot as to whether or not you're going to die from it. Because doctors are smart, and they're helping us with factual information like that, right? Anyway, the mechanisms in place. Look up. It's real. It's happening. It's been happening. You can't just live in denial of reality and think that it's not going to affect you. Why do you think that all this trans shit is off the charts too? Do you think that being sprayed with neurotoxins and being injected with neurotoxins and eating neurotoxins and breathing neurotoxins and fucking wiping your ass with neurotoxic shit constantly every day of the week for your entire life is not going to cause mental problems? Sorry. It's not going to cause, you know, psychological issues. It's not going to mess up your hormones and cause you to, you know, grow a beard if you're a woman or grow boobs if you're a guy. It is. Those neurotoxins mess up your glands, which throws your hormones out of whack. And then on top of that, people go in for lots of reasons, take things, you know, these treatments that do the same thing on top of what's being done to us, obviously point blank in your face all day, every day. That I don't notice a damn thing. Driving around doing whatever. Look anywhere but up. Yeah. Don't acknowledge what's actually happening. Just live in la la land and pretend everything's gonna be okay, or whatever they think. I don't know what they think. You know, people who don't have any kids, they just don't give a shit, I guess. And they go, oh hells, I'm just gonna do whatever. If you do have kids and you can go around pretending that they're not being sprayed with poison, or that the healthcare system is looking out for their interests and letting them inject them with things, there's something fucking wrong with you. You need to get off the fluoride, apparently. Because anybody with half an ounce of common sense that looks into these issues will come to that conclusion. That there's nothing good in our current medical system. It is an absolute fraud, and people should come to realize that. I'm going to end this now. 33:34, 33:35.